about how you got started racing.
Well, I saw it on TV on NHRA on the TV with my dad, and I watch it a lot because I think it's interesting. So I told my dad it would be really cool if I could do this, and then he, like a couple weeks later, he was looking on the internet and he found one. And he says, looks over to my mom and he says, are you okay with her doing this? And my mom says, as long as you're safe, she can do it. I thought she was gonna freak out, but apparently she didn't.
Emily came to me and said, Dad, I want to do some racing. So I've always had projects around the house. At the time we had a motorcycle, a sport bike, and we had a Mustang, and we always went to the car shows and stuff. And you know, my wife doesn't like it, but you know, we're always out about, you know, Dad, get on a little bit, you know, have a little fun. So we always did that, and we was doing some stuff, and she came to me and said, Dad, I want to do some racing. So I was like, oh, okay. So, you know, I kind of had in my mind what I wanted to do with her, but I went to my wife and said, hey, you know, she wants to do some racing. You know, is there any rules here that I got to be aware of before we start? And she said, just as long as she's safe. So that inspired me. I threw the motorcycle up for sale, and I threw the Mustang up for sale. We sold it, everything. We went on a hunt, and my parents are from Illinois, which is where I'm from. And we found a car locally up there, and a guy had it was like a really good deal, kind of a quick cash type thing. So I called my parents. I said, hey, I'm looking at buying this dragster, you know, for Emily, but she didn't know it at the time. And if I buy it, can you guys go pick it up, hold it on to me for me so I can get up there to get it? And my dad's like, what are you getting? You know, what kind of, you know, toy you getting? So I told him about it. He's like, I'll tell you what, if you buy it, I'll bring it down to you. And that's how we got started.
The first time I got the car, we were behind my dad's work, is where we practice run. But it's not a track, it's just like a little practice area behind a warehouse. And that was the first time he ever started it because it's the first time he got it to working. He started in it, and then we had to go home because I peed my pants. I got really, really scared. And then he said, then we came back, and then he said, do you want to get in? And I'm like, heck no. And then he's like, heck yeah. And then he put the helmet on and the neck brace, and then it got a lot quieter. So then I tried it, and it was still a little loud, so I just gassed it down, and then I gassed it back, and then I came back to my dad and I said, Dad, can I go all the way down? So he said, yeah, if that's okay with you, it's okay with me. So I put it all the way down, and I'm like, ooh, this is fast. And so when I came back to him, I came to my dad and I said, Dad, is this thing going faster? And he's like, nope, that's as fast as it's gonna be until I get a faster one.
Once she had that part down, you know, I was like, man, the hard part is that Christmas tree down there. You see that light with all the stand with all the lights on it, you know. It was very nervous for me because the first time we went up to the track, we never have staged before, you know. So learning the rules as far as the cones and stuff, you know, you always want to be there for your kid. You know, you never want to, you know, leave them hang on anything. You always want to walk them through everything. And so I kind of got her to the cones, and you know, we got a little signal. I look at her, I point at her, I point at the tree, and you know, she rolled right up. The lights come on. She sat there, and everything tripped down, and she took off. And it was just like, wow, you know, that's awesome, because that was my biggest worry about her learning that. That was nothing.
So, talk about what it's like going that fast and going with that speed.
And the little, and my silver car, it doesn't feel like you're going that fast. It feels like you're going like 20. It honestly doesn't feel that fast. When you're in my car, it has a lot more horsepower, so you still don't feel that fast. You feel like you're in a slower car. But then when you sit up and look at the ground, you're like going like really fast.
You know, some people might say, oh, it's a dangerous sport, but you know, the kids are very safe. They're in fireproof suits, smell-proof helmets, fireproof shoes, gloves, 5-point harness, a chromoly cage and chassis. I mean, they're more safer in these cars than they are driving down your car down the street.
And how important is it that your mom and your dad are both that help you and support you in your racing?
because basically if they weren't here, then I couldn't do anything.
You know, it's one of the things where, Dad, what are we doing with the car? Dad, I got the oil change. You know, when are we going racing again, Dad? You know, what track are we going to? You know, it's hard to explain. And you know, when it's your kid inside, man, it pulls on you sometimes. So it makes you very, very happy that she enjoys what you're doing.
So what are your friends doing, or other 11-year-olds doing while you're racing? What are they doing? What do they do?
You mean my friends?
Yes.
Well, first I got it, and they were like, "Oh my God, you're gonna ride that?" And then I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then once I started doing it, and they watched me a few times, they're like, "Oh, I wish I got it right someday." And I'm like, "Sorry, I gotta get a driving license."
So talk about racing. A lot of people don't know about racing and the sport itself. What is it that you love about it so much?
Racing is just, I don't know how to explain this. I love it so much. When you go down the track, it's a great feeling because it's really fun. And then when you're up there, it's like eating candy. It's awesome.
There obviously must be a lot that goes into it, and it seems like she does a lot of her own thing.
Well, you know, I didn't want it to be where she walks up, gets in the car, has the best part, and then walks away. You know, she can check her own tire pressures. You know, I kind of made it. This is her thing. You know, I want her to feel independent. That if Dad's not out there and they call race time, she's like, "Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know anything." If she'll stop and think about it, and she can take care of everything herself.
I have to go home, which is the worst thing that you have to do to a car. You sit there and pump the brakes and pump them for 2 hours. You have to sit there and get the brake fluid in. And I was at night with the mosquitoes biting my flesh off, sitting there pumping for 2 hours, and then I finally went to sleep at like 12 o'clock.
So it sounds like there's a lot that goes on with taking care of a race car that people don't really know.
Some people don't like take care of their race car. All they do is they race, they work on the tree, and they give it to somebody else to do it. Like older cars, they just race and stuff, and then they let their crew chief do the rest of the stuff. They don't like take care of this stuff. They just race.
And why do you take care of the car?
Well, first of all, it's my car, and the people where I said that in the older bigger cars, they don't take care of it, because mostly they write it for the person. It's not their car. Like, they don't take care of it. So that's not their car, and it's my car, so it has to be taken care of.
What do you hope that you get to do with racing? Obviously, you're still really, really, really young. You have a lot of time left. What do you want to do with racing in life?
Well, I want to be a pro racer and get into the bigger cars. But if something does go wrong, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to be a pediatrician. I wanted to be a doctor.
So you want to race cars or take care of little kids?
Take care of kids that get hurt race accidents. Because then I can like refer to them to say like, I know how you feel. Like if something were to happen, like if they flipped over, I could have known, but that's never happened to me, so I could have referred to that because I did race when I was younger.
What is that? I mean, there's 11-year-olds right now, I'm sure around the country are doing some different things other than racing.
Right.
What is that feeling for you as a father that she's in racing and when you do see her going down the track?
It's crazy. When you guys were filming down there at the light, you know, when she's down the track, you know, I was right in front of the camera. I look back, she's like, "Get out of the way," you know. Man, you know, I can't explain it, dude. And when she comes back and I pick her up, how'd I run, Dad? The car felt great. It's, you know, it pulls on the heartstrings a little, man. And it's not saying it because I want to be emotional. You know, sometimes, man, you know, it gets you a little lump in your throat, man, and it's a great feeling. It's like, wow, you know, we're doing something. She likes it. She's digging it. She's into it. You know, there's not much more I can explain it to her except for how to tear everything apart, literally, and put it back together. You know, it's a great feeling that bond is there, and that, you know, she trusts you enough that what you do, she's going to be safe.
So what are some of the things that racing has taught you?
kind of life. If you're scared to do something, even though you really don't want to do it, you're already up there. Just go. If something goes wrong, then something's wrong. It won't kill you. It's just something's gonna be wrong. It goes away.